There's a very formal term for that, which is wow. I was saying to somebody at dinner tonight that you go through college. I've now deposited my first child at college. Think for a moment about the transformations that happen to you at college. You come in and you're X, and you leave and you're X times whatever. And I've never had really the opportunity to thank David for being that professor that sparks something in your imagination, and you suddenly think, wow, I want to know more about Russia. I want to know more about this culture, this history, this language. And so I credit David and that class with years later studying Russian language, going to the then Soviet Union as a Nightline producer, and having the opportunity to take what that classroom learning was and put it into action. So please join me in thanking President Maxwell for all he does. I also want to thank his partner in crime, because one thing that television taught me is about teamwork. You don't do anything in this life really alone. You do it because somebody quietly often helps you to do what you do and to pull it off effortlessly, and that's Maddie Maxwell, and please join me in thanking her for all she does. So there's one other little hero in this room that, before I say a word about her, I do want to thank Deirdre White, who has done so much to pull together this conference, and Matt, and to just also say what an honor it is here to be with the Honorable Norm Mineta, who's done so much and does so much for this country and really deserves our enduring gratitude and appreciation for keeping so many bilateral relationships alive, like the U.S.-Japan, and also to Robert Carr. Thank you both for the international work you do. The special lady that I want to just say a word about is also an unsung hero in the story of international relations and citizen diplomacy. She has contributed to building an infrastructure of citizen diplomacy and citizen involvement over this past half decade. And she has expanded the web of mutual understanding and put into place what Secretary Hillary Clinton calls people-to-people ties. Would you join me in thanking Ann Olson Shadi? So Japan, U.S.-Japan. What a thought-provoking, emotional, passionate subject. We think about World War II, we think about the history, and then we think about where we are today. I don't know if any of you saw the incredible footage last week of a NASA and a Japanese astronaut working together to fix a power problem on the International Space Station. That is citizen-to-citizen diplomacy outside our own planet, a compelling symbol of a powerful friendship and a connection between two countries whose ties run so deep. We are Pacific neighbors and committed allies. We are global partners in many endeavors, countering nuclear proliferation in North Korea, dealing with Iran, pushing forth on climate change and green technology, promoting democracy, working together on human rights in Burma. All of the economic, political, social issues we know about. But what we don't talk enough about is this remarkable education and cultural engagement. And that, my friends, will be upon what we determine the new century will be about when we look forth at where the US and Japan might just go. If ever there was a moment to illustrate the power of friendships in the international arena, think about the earthquake. The pictures, the video, the faces of victims and survivors. Help came to Japan. Oh, it came. It came from around the world, but it most of all came from the United States. Our response that day was immediate and robust. And it was also a military and humanitarian response, one of those wonderful moments where civilians and military come to the relief and rescue and relief operation that we now know as Tomodachi. Tomodachi, what does it mean? It's Japanese for friend. And if you asked an ordinary student, as I did today, how many people do you think from our military extended a hand of friendship to the Japanese in that moment? 24,000 servicemen and servicewomen, almost 200 aircraft, scores of naval vessels were mobilized. And no, we didn't really hear enough about that on television, did we? People working shoulder to shoulder with the Japan Self-Defense Force counterparts to save lives, repair infrastructure, bring in supplies, help people who were impacted, let us remember, by a triple disaster: earthquake, tsunami, and a nuclear accident. How much more can you challenge a human being? But help not only came from the military, it came from ordinary citizen diplomats from across this country. There were high-profile citizens who jumped in, like Lady Gaga, with her relief wristbands and her campaign to help victims. But there were people whose names you don't know, who don't sell a lot of albums. But they got out there and wanted to help. One posted a message on the website of a disaster response organization. It simply said, "Hi, bags packed and waiting. Let me know when the International General Volunteers are needed." That is citizen diplomacy. Lady Gaga and this ordinary citizen do not know each other, but they are connected because they are what you are, global citizens who come forward to help simply because helping is sometimes just the right thing to do. So from famous people to the obscure came students, engineers, diplomats, civil society activists, doctors, nurses, ordinary Americans who said, "I have an individual skill, an asset." Some later said they went or they offered to go because they could dress wounds or could operate a forklift or raise thousands of dollars for relief efforts. People dug into their own personal bank accounts. And some came simply because they said, "I can speak a few words of Japanese." What a nation that offers global citizens and a set of hands to lift another nation. So these global citizens, they are our strategic resource. They are our moral imperative for the 21st century. You are how we are going to build the ties around the world that animate and deepen the partnerships that link nations. It's still early in this 21st century, and I know every day we read about terrible global challenges, the worst economic downturn since the Depression, climate change, natural disasters, religious animosity, violent extremism, a youth bulge in parts of the world that challenges societies, a dropping birth rate in others, diverse and difficult, complex challenges. But can we not also see the opportunities? That when you struggle with dwindling budgets and resources, you suddenly find your toughest self, your most deliberative time, because things are tight and now you really have to think about it. So to meet these cross-cutting challenges, we need citizens who can respond in innovative, creative, impactful ways, not just when a catastrophe strikes, but when we might think one is around the corner. Can we not motivate ourselves to act proactively and engage on the global stage before we're asked for emergency response? We simply are going to have to do it because we really have no choice now. We're all tied in with one another in this seemingly interconnected fabric. So what are we going to do with our human potential to change things? I know what I'm going to do as Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. I'm going to go out and thank every citizen diplomat we can find and tell every student on any campus that they are joining a community no different than their neighborhood or their backyard. I'm going to tell them that they need to be engaged, informed, and influential. And I'm going to tell them that they better take advantage of all those study abroad programs and international, really welcome those foreign students who come to this country and learn about us. Why, one asked, why should we be so nice? Well, it's not really just to be nice. The people we bring here and the people we meet when we go overseas are going to be the next generation of political leaders, business entrepreneurs, artists, and athletes who are going to create these enduring networks of cooperation and ties that transcend our own borders. From that personal scaffolding, that personal architecture we create with another human being, we will build great global skyscrapers. But I'm a little worried, frankly, coming back to Japan. We've had this meaningful, deep, and such an empathic relationship. Today, the Fulbright program with Japan counts as its alumni 6 Nobel laureates, 8 Pulitzer Prize recipients, and a wealth of scientists, journalists, policymakers, and scholars. Our International Visitor Program, IVLP, in Japan just celebrated its 60th birthday, bringing leaders, including ones from Japan, in contact with Americans from all walks of life. And we have seen thousands of American students, young political leaders, journalists going to Japan. Some of you know that Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. went as an ambassador to Japan. What a symbol of America. Figure skaters, the under-20 Women's World Cup soccer team, all going with one purpose: inspire young Japanese to be great at whatever they do. And what about the manifestation of that flowering of our relationship? Those cherry trees a century ago. So now we're sending 3,000 flowering American dogwood trees to the people of Japan so we can plant the seeds of a future relationship. And the Japanese government is doing its part. They are generously investing in Fulbright and in the Kazuna exchange program. They are trying to make a difference in public diplomacy. Every year, JET brings thousands of young people from around the world. People want to be a jet ski. They want to be part of that program. But let me be frank, more needs to be done. We can't rest on the laurels of this relationship. This is a flowering plant, but it needs to be watered. It needs nourishment. While the numbers of Americans in Japanese universities continues to grow, the number of Japanese students in U.S. degree programs has fallen more than 50% in the past 12 years. It was once at 47,000 Japanese students here. We're at 21,000 today. That is not good enough. Why, people ask, are Japanese students not coming in great numbers? Some might be the economics. Some might be the lack of incentives by corporations, foundations, and others. Some might be just a lack of information about the programs, and some might be a lack of English proficiency to pass some of the barriers to getting here. But you know, when you ask Japanese, they say, we want to come. We want to be on your campuses. 9 out of 10 in Japan favor relationship with the United States. We are popular. People want the security relationship with us. And I am so pleased and honored that Secretary Mineta has agreed to co-chair a binational task force supported by the State Department and the government of Japan, and we will figure out what it takes to get more Japanese students here. We will figure it out. And if it means more language, if it means more awareness, if it means more economic incentives, we will figure it out. In Japan, our embassy and 5 consulates are active in trying to reach Japanese youth, employing tried and true programs and now digital platforms. If Mark Davidson, who's here tonight, our minister counselor, would just wave, it is so great to have somebody in Tokyo committed to public diplomacy and pioneering efforts. Our ambassador, Bruce, has the most Twitter followers of any U.S. ambassador overseas. And online, we've broken new ground with Connect USA, a Japanese language website, social media platform, and media discussions. We're disseminating online videos, promoting study in the U.S., and we're live streaming. We are doing whatever it takes to reach people, to promote U.S. colleges and to promote a U.S. college fair that we are sponsoring next Saturday in Akihabara in Tokyo, a center of Japanese youth culture. So it brings us back to Tomodichi, the Tomodichi Initiative, to looking out at Japanese musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, scholars, teachers, and reviving and reinvigorating the passion around U.S.-Japan. You know, inspired by that U.S. rescue operation, if we would just talk to our students about how proud both countries are and how proud we are of the U.S.-Japan Council, which is a partnership between governments. So I want to close with something about Secretary Clinton, who has really raised this citizen diplomacy to a new art. She visited Japan, I think it was in July, and she met with Japanese and American students. And she tells the story of a Japanese high school student who lost her father in the tsunami and spoke about the opportunity she got to study leadership at the University of California in Berkeley, and that meant so much to her. A Japanese graduate student came up to Secretary Clinton and spoke about the need for her Japanese friends at home to connect with young people in America, because she said, I know you can help make our dreams real. And so Secretary Clinton came back and reflected, and her quote, "It is the same interconnectedness that amplifies global challenges, makes us possible to solve them. And we need to lead as citizens in finding solutions." So let's promote study abroad as one of the best ways to help people join the circle of aspiring global citizenry and realize our potential and that of others. Let's ensure that future generations of Japanese and Americans stay close as friends do. Let's not downplay the challenges. We know what they are, but let's move forward with confidence and a positive attitude that our work is more important now than ever. I wanted to come to this conference because I truly believe that what is going on in this room and in this conference and in the citizen diplomacy movement is what we need. It is going to build a world of more understanding, connectivity, and communications. So I salute the endeavors and the commitment of the people here and those other organizations and NGOs and corporations that will work with us to strengthen our citizen core and to make this a bright and shared future so that that becomes our shared reality. Thanks very much.